If you're planning to study in Germany, you're probably asking yourself, when is the best time to apply? The timing of your application can make or break your chances. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the key deadlines, tips on the application timeline, and few bonus tips for making your application stand out. Try to write down all of the steps we'll be discussing and the tips in this video so I don't miss out on anyone. So let's start with the basics. Unlike some other countries, Germany has two main intakes for university applications, which is the winter semester and the summer semester. These are super important for you to know because they determine the deadlines you need to follow. Winter semester applications usually is opened from October, which is the main intake period for most German universities. Here, the application deadline usually for mid-July. Undergraduate and postgraduate programs are open here in most universities. The second intake is the summer semester, which begins from April and with deadlines around mid-January. During the summer semester application, you should note that most courses are not available as compared to the winter semester. In this particular semester, it's best advised that you apply as early as possible, as most courses you might decide to pick are based on first come first served basis. So if you start your application early enough, then you're considered a place. But when you start your application very late, there's every chance that you won't be considered. Now let's break down a sample timeline when you should ideally start each step. Remember, the earlier the better. Step 1 year before the target semester. This is when you start researching universities, programs, just to know which is applicable to you. Germany has about 400 universities and thousands of programs. So take your time to explore, all of your opportunities or all of your chances. You should make DAAD, which is DAD, your best friend typically, because that's where you're going to find like all of the programs and universities, in Germany. Also, one thing you should be careful about is most of the programs you should check if it requires German proficiency or English proficiency. Most courses might have like German and English proficiency. So during the entry point, you're required to submit at least B1 or C1 German, and you're required to submit also English proficiency just to be able to tell the language requirement for that program. So most times if you don't understand, it's advisable that you send an email to the university, requesting them if they actually need both proficiency or they just need German, because sometimes 50% of the course might be in German and maybe 50% also might be in English, so it's better to always reach out to the school, so you don't make mistakes during your application, because when you submit your applications, you are not there to defend what you submitted. It's based on what you submit on the portal. That's what determines if you'll be considered or not. Now, the next step for you is begin gathering your document. One thing you should know is that German universities are really strict with paperwork. So if you are required to submit a particular document and you don't submit it, it could cost you not having a place in that university. Make sure you have everything, that is certified copies, your transcript, your English proficiency might be German or English. The next step is for you to register for necessary tests. If your program is in English, you'll be required to submit IELTS or TOEFL, and sometimes if you're taught in English, that's your bachelor's, if you're taught in English, then most universities give exceptions to those kind of candidates. So what this means is that you could either get a document from your university stating that the language of instruction during your bachelor's was in English, or better still, there are certain countries that the university are going to exempt from submitting English proficiency. And if it's a German taught program, then you are required to have TESDAP or DSH exams. But you are advised to schedule these tests as early as possible, because maybe you might be required to take them if the need be. Maybe you don't pass the exams or you don't get the required grade the university wants in these proficiency exams. So that will give you ample time to retake the exams and then submit your document as when due. Because if you take these exams really close to the admission period, there's every chance that you might not get the result. This could mar your chances of getting considered in this university or in different universities where you're applying to. So the next step is start your application. You should aim to apply at least 3 months before the deadline scheduled for whichever university you're applying to. Most universities require Uni Assist for international applicants, which you have to create an account and then submit your document and also pay the processing fee. The first amount you have to pay is 75 euros, and then subsequently for every other application you have to pay 30 euros. So you should know that if you are processing your application through Uni Assist, it requires at least 6 to 7 weeks for them to process your document and then forward to the university. So if you're applying really late, then there's every chance that your application won't be forwarded to the university because you started late and there was no time for them to verify your document and then send it to the university you're applying to. So it's advisable if you're an international applicant to start your application period really early so you can get done with Uni Assist and your applications can start. There are some universities where you apply directly on their admission portal. Now the next step is, if you're finally accepted by any German universities you apply to, you should start applying for your visa immediately. One thing you should know is that the visa application can take a short while for some countries, while others take much time before you get your visa ready. So it's better you apply early enough for your visa so you can get it sorted out and then find your way to Germany. In all of these steps I have mentioned, you need to stay organized. Now there are tools that can make you stay organized and make your life easier. Now there's Trello and Asana. Here you can create the checklist for each university you're applying to, assign due date and track process. With this you stay on top each deadline. Now the next tool is known as Notion. Now here you can create a database of all universities you are interested in, the specific requirements and links to the application. Now this way everything you need concerning your application is in one location, so you don't have to be disorganized during the application period. Now this is a bonus tip. Try to join online communities, forums of international students, because here you get to find out information that are shared regarding different universities in Germany, and also you get to find out experiences from tricky applications and how it was resolved. Do well to look up on such forums where students share their experiences. So now what happens when you miss an application deadline? Many programs offer the next intake just a few months later. You could also consider applying to other programs that have extended deadlines, or rather look up for universities that have rolling admissions. But one thing you should keep in mind is that most of these options are limited. One thing I'll advise you guys is that you should try to email the school's admission office if you are close to the deadline. Sometimes they could make exceptions for you and also guide you on what to do. Now you know exactly when to apply to German universities and how to stay on top of your application. Remember, planning ahead and staying organized is key. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, as well as share this video. That way it gets to a wider audience. Also drop a comment if you have questions regarding applications in German universities. Until the next one, I love you guys. Stay focused, stay motivated, and I wish you all the best in your applications. Peace out.